Hello, and welcome to the Vicars Watch Dibley,
the podcast where three priests link our stories with those of a Reverend Geraldine Granger and other TV vicars. I'm Kate.
I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ruthie. This episode we're getting a little bit festive as we look through the Christmas lunch incident and we tell some stories of what it's like being a vicar at Christmas. Hello, beautiful ladies.
Hello.
Well, good morning to you, both of you.
Hello.
Hello. This is very exciting. We are doing all things festive today.
Hooray!
I have a bit of a Christmas problem, so I'm very excited about this and what we're going to do in this episode. But first of all, what do we do, Jenny?
We share what we've been loving this week.
Yes!
I'm going to kick us off. I've been loving something for a long time, which I've never given airtime on the podcast. Do you guys ever use or listen to Lectio 365?
Occasionally.
It's so good. Right, so obviously, with being a vicar, you kind of vow that you will say morning and evening prayer, and actually keeping up a discipline of reading the Bible, praying regularly is really important. One of the ways that I love to engage with just like gentle praying or like warming up for the day or closing day is Lectio 365. And they do like a 10-minute tiny space to like reflect, pray, listen to a bit of the Bible in the morning and the evening. You can either read it or listen to it. There's even one for families if you've got like children as well. And it's so good. And I never have given it airtime, but I've been talking to my church about it recently in like the last few months. And I've really been getting into it and I love it. So I've been loving Lectio 365 by the 24/7 prayer people. You know, like Pete Greg. Or
Hashtag
Pete...
not an ad.
Yeah, hashtag not an ad. But like it's really good. And they do like kind of different seasons, different themes, different focuses on different people. It's just really good. Dive in, guys. It's an app. Go and try it. It's really fun.
Okay.
Woo!
Well, I've also got a hashtag not ad as a thing I've been loving. So I've had a really productive few days. I'm not bragging, but I also am. I've really enjoyed it because I've been working on all the publicity for Messy Church and our Christingle service and for some stuff for the deanery as well. And I've been using Canva. And I just really enjoy putting these materials together and advertising all these lovely events, and it gets me really excited for the event because I'm putting so much detail into
Love that.
sharing it.
Yeah, Canva's great.
Yeah, we use Canva a lot. So the thing that I've loved this week is probably Sheffield. So yesterday I was in Sheffield because I had a work thing. So in my job I'm connected to Church Army and their base is in Sheffield, and they were just a lovely bunch of people, and went and hung out with them and bought their Christmas card, which was very nice. And just Sheffield as a city, I just think is really dead cool, and just had a nice time pottering around Sheffield for a little bit after it. And we can get the tram from Rotherham to Sheffield, and I've not got over that novelty
That's
yet.
cool.
It's still really exciting.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So this week, and most weeks, I love Sheffield.
Love that.
Yeah. And I totally understand that because
Yes.
I spent many years in Sheffield and I love that you're there.
Yeah.
Big up the north.
Yeah.
Way.
Join us, Jenny.
I was born in
So-
Burnley. Does that count?
Yeah.
But nowadays I live in East Midlands. I'm not going to say the south. I'm going to say the East Midlands.
Yeah,
The
you're in
north
the
part of the East Midlands, I say.
You may have noticed, dear listeners, that we're rather jolly today. That's because we are well and truly into the festive spirit. And today we are kicking off the festive season for this Advent episode with the first Vicar of Dibley Christmas special, which is the Christmas lunch incident. This was at the end of season 1, so if you're listening to our episodes in order, we're just taking the TARDIS back in time. Released in 1996. Yeah, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
I did find it, watching it yesterday, a little bit weird because it was going back in time and going, oh yeah, we need to, I need to remember where things are. But it's been really good. So because we're doing the festive episode, we have certain festive things that are going on throughout this episode. We will get through them in time. First of all, I've got some festive snacks. Have you got festive snacks?
I do, sort of.
So do I.
Ladies, I have not just any, but Tesco's finest Stollen, which is just, I love Stollen, and I'm not a big marzipan fan, but I do love Stollen. Yeah. What about you, Jenny? What have you got?
I've got some crumbly cookies.
Oh, microphone ASMR.
I had a crumpet before we started, sorry. But yeah, I've got some fair trade crumbly fruit and oat cookies, which aren't specifically Christmas, but they're lovely all year round. But, you know, just the season to get in my belly.
What about you, Kate?
Well, I have the icon, which is the Christmas Satsuma.
Oh,
yes.
But I also have some nuts.
Festive nuts!
Nuts as well.
Love that.
What is it about having a bowl of nuts that is just a very Christmassy thing?
So true.
And it's not like you just have nuts hanging out the rest of the year. I'm going to move on from that.
Dear listener, let us know, what's your Christmas food? What food makes you feel like it's the Christmas season?
Oh, I tell you what, I just came to mind. Those frosted fancies. You know, French fancies, but they do the frosted. Yeah. Oh, I love those.
Yeah. I do have to say, a Satsuma, like Kate's gone for, is my family thing. There's a big love for Satsumas around Christmas, especially.
Just the smell makes you feel, suddenly it's Christmas.
Zingy.
Yeah. So let's crack on with the festive episode as we go through the Christmas lunch incident, which I think is probably one of the most famous of the Vicar of Dibley episodes as a whole. And it starts with a banging introductory joke, which is just some sheep wearing festive hats, and it's great, and I love it. And from there, we head over to the vicarage, and Alice and Jerry are busy decorating the Christmas tree. Do you guys go for it with decorations at Christmas and that kind of thing?
I definitely decorate. I don't know if I go for it. I don't go all out, because it is just me, and I'm the sort of person who says, oh, you know, Christmas technically lasts till Candlemas, so, you know, if my Christmas decorations are still up, it's not because I'm lazy, it's just because but anyway, no, but I do decorate for Christmas, and I don't know this year if I'm going to have a tree or not. I don't know. Maybe not.
When I visited Jenny's house for the first time, I informed her of all the Christmas things that she can do with her house, didn't I?
I remember that now. Now you've said it, yeah. I do decorate a bit, but to be honest, in years gone by, I've tried to get better every year, but ever since being ordained, first year I probably decorated on the 18th of December, and then I pulled it back a bit to the 15th of December and asked some friends to come around and help. And I think it's just because the season you go, it explodes, and you're on 9 till 9 every day, as in AM till PM. Yeah. And it's finding the time to decorate is tough. But I'm trying to get better with my boundaries and organisation. So this year I definitely want to make the effort. And my family come to me, we maybe talk about this a little bit later, my family come to me on Christmas Day. So I want it to be a magical time for them. Normally I just get the spidery artificial tree out the garage, but I think I'm even going to go for a real one this year. But I'm not massively into decorating. I'm more get out the box of stuff and shove snowmen in random orifices of the house. I'm not organised, but I want to be.
What an image! What an image! Well, I am a contrast to the two of you.
Yes, you are.
I'm
legendary.
Let's get the numerous boxes out from down in the cellar and let's festively decorate. And I'm excited about it. I am doing something different this year, and I feel a little bit sad about it, but also kind of excited about it too, is for the first time I'm not having a real tree, which is something I do every year. But my lovely godmothers have gifted me their old tree. And so I'm going to try and do that because my son is a December baby. And kind of mid-December, and so I try now to decorate after his birthday, so we can do a bit of birthday business.
Oh, that's nice.
And then kind of really get into it. That's how I'm going to try and split the two. So if any of you have December birthdays, please let me know good ideas as to how Christmas works for you. Because my mum's a December birthday as well, but she always wants the tree up before her birthday. So, Alice and Jerry are busy decorating. Yeah. No idea what day it is by this point.
Yeah, so when is it appropriate to start decorating for Christmas? Because I don't know about you, but because as vicars we start planning Christmas sometime around September. That's when you sit down with your church wardens and you start saying, what we're going to be doing, so we can like get it in our heads, and if we need any additional clergy booked, etc. But that means I have a burst of festive spirit and the desire to watch Christmas movies and sing Christmas carols and decorate the house in September, and I have to squash that. Which is probably why I then don't go all out with Christmas decorating, because if I could right now, I'm already started thinking, because I'm planning the messy church Christmas and all the crafts we're going to be doing and all of that. Like, I could just go all out right now.
Yeah.
It's probably worth saying that we're recording this technically before Advent, because people will be thinking, babe, you go for it. We're well into Advent by now. But actually, we are a little bit pre. I'm of the opinion, although I know radio has this debate as well, I've been enjoying listening to this, but I think everything... I think Advent Sunday, so this year it's 27th of November, I think anything before then, it's, that's a bit much. Anything after then, I'm like, woo!
Yeah.
Like, even, like this, sorry, just to very rudely butt in, but in the shops, all of the Christmas stuff came out literally on the 1st of November. As soon as Halloween had gone, it was like, right, Christmas has begun, here we go. Crazy.
And,
I'm just thinking...
as a family, we didn't decorate until the last day of the Christmas, of the school term. So, first day of Christmas holidays, that's when we decorated. That's when we put the tree up. That's when we got all the decorations out. But because we don't really do... As adults, you don't really follow the school term if you don't have children.
Yeah.
True.
So they're busy doing the tree and making everything festive. And we see the glorious plethora of advent calendars that Geraldine has bought, questioning how many is okay for a greedy person to have. And Alice says 30, and it seems
generous.
like... Yeah, very generous. And Geraldine is within those margins. And did you also pause to try and read what the different calendars were that she had?
No, I didn't.
So she's got the Oasis one, and there was there was another one that was like, not Thundercats, but it looked like a kind of Thundercats thing going on, and quite an array of Advent calendars.
Yeah. Is anyone a fan of an Advent candle?
Yeah.
That's my countdown item of choice.
Before I ask you both what Advent calendars you have or you've had, I've got a Christmas cracker joke, which is themed. Why is it getting harder to buy Advent calendars?
Because there's more demand.
Crisis.
Oh yeah, not because Geraldine's booked them all out. Their days are numbered.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. After that side note, what Advent calendars do you have this year, or have you had in previous years?
I did a bit of a romantic thing previously, just once, and did a kind of Advent calendar for my spouse, where I did one where I wrote nice notes in everyone, but it like got one of those ones where you do it yourself and write. So I wrote something nice, but also bought a Lego set and put the kind of a few bricks in each day. So went through the booklet as to what to how to build it, and put in a few bricks each day, so that through the course of Advent up to, well, not Advent, December up to the 25th, a Lego thing got built.
That is beautiful.
That's
Wife
really
points for that. That was pretty
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so
really
thoughtful.
like that.
How about you, Jenny?
Well, I can't really remember. So my nan and granddad used to always send us picture advent calendars, which were lovely growing up. But to be fair, as a child, you love them, but you also always wanted a chocolatey one. So I think my mum used to buy us a chocolatey one. But I have to say, in more recent times, I've got sorry, this is like the holy answer, isn't it? But the real advent calendar. It's like there's one and you can count down the stories. It tells you a bit of the story. On my Instagram, I think not last year but the year before, like we retold the story every day. You get to eat the chocolate and you get the story. I love that. But as I said, the advent candle is the way I go. And again, every single year I start out the habit really well and like use it as a time to like read my Bible or like draw or write or just like do something, but do it mindfully. And then it gets to like the 15th of December and the candle never gets lit again. And I find it on like January the 10th amid my like sleepy face. Maybe not the 10th, maybe like the 2nd or 3rd. And I'm like, oh yeah, the candle. And I'm like, no, well, see you later. So that's not very good. But
well, for you, Kate, as someone who is lactose intolerant, chocolate calendars are probably not on the cards for you, but you do make amazing Advent things, don't you?
Yeah, so firstly, at the height of my disposable income, which I don't have disposable income much anymore, but at the height of my disposable income, I had 4 Advent calendars on the go. So the first was I had a coffee Advent calendar.
Oh, lovely.
And a tea Advent calendar. So I had an interesting cup of tea and an interesting cup of coffee every day. And I had, my mum always sends us Christmas card Advent calendars at the start of Advent. And then I also had a lactose-free chocolate Advent calendar. That was height of disposable income. It's not really relevant anymore. But I started a couple of years ago to do a kind of a devotional Advent where I would essentially produce an Advent calendar to share and produce a reflective drawing every day of Advent. And I did it, I think we mentioned I did it during Lent as well. So the first year I did it, I followed the Jesse tree, which is a way of following Lent with your family, which is looking through stories of the Old Testament leading up to Jesus all the way through December. The second year I did it, I looked at the songs of Luke leading up to the birth of Jesus. And then this year, I'm thinking of following Jostein Gaarder's The Christmas Mystery Book, where it's if you haven't read the book, it's a fantastic way of journeying through Advent. There's a chapter through every day of Advent. It's themed around an Advent calendar. The basic story is about a child who finds this beautiful Advent calendar and then through December discovers the story of Christmas. Really, really beautiful. One of our friends, Ross, reads it every year. I read it when I was a child. So this year I'm going to read that book and then draw something inspired by what I've read for the chapter for that day.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm sure we'll be seeing those on our social media over the course of Advent. We'll see what appears. We're barely into it, are we? The first scene.
Need to deep dive this episode.
Deep dive into it all.
We're
but
just
it's great.
So excited.
Yeah. So we head over to Horton Manor. And the whole gang's there, and it's heading towards Christmas Day because everyone's looking very festive, and they're having a bit of a do there at the manor. And it's David's grown a beard. My initial thought is he trying to be Santa? Which can you imagine a worse Santa than David Horton?
Hello, child.
We commented on this on our last episode when we talked about Vicars Dibley, which is set. I think it's set after this one. Yeah. Chronologically.
We'd forgotten about his beard.
The beard origin story. And he says Hugo says that it's so that he's more attractive to women.
So, do we find David Horton more attractive with or without the beard?
I do like a good beard.
I do like a good beard. There you go. Jenny's really thinking about this.
I don't mind either way. I think, David, however you want to present, you present. Because I don't find him more or less attractive with or without. He's just an entity to me.
I feel like it
Does
makes
that
him...
sound
harsh? Does that sound harsh? Sorry.
I feel the beard makes him more cheeky and mischievous. Like, he
Interesting.
behaves much more in this episode. Very cheeky.
It's David's sassy beard. It's giving us sassy powers. Sassy, cheeky powers.
There we go. And the conversation talks a bit about what Geraldine's plans are for Christmas and what's she going to do, and is she going to be on her own. And Jim and Frank come up with a solution for that. But before we come up to that, have you done many Christmases on your own in ministry so far?
Yes, I have. So when I was a curate, I lived fairly far from family, and I didn't drive as a curate, and I didn't feel like travelling after Christmas services. So I had to find alternative solutions. For Christmas Day, which included actually going to eat with parishioners or going to big communal lunches. But also, I've got to say, Geraldine's plans of watching Jurassic Park and finishing off her advent calendars sounds fantastic.
I mean, that sounds pretty good.
You get so exhausted after,
Oh, man.
like, by Christmas afternoon. That sounds like bliss. I might do it. No, I've got family coming over this year.
What about you, Jenny?
Well,
because you spent a long time as a single curate before becoming a bland lady.
Indeedles. So before being ordained, my family had a tradition where we'd all drive up north to Manchester, where my mum's side of the family are, and we'd have Christmas up north, kind of thing. And I ruined it for my family, basically. But my mum and sister were adamant that they weren't going to go without me, bless them. And I knew that I probably wouldn't be, like, well enough to drive. If I'm being totally honest, for those of you who are listening who are new to ministry or going through or in curacy right now, like, or for those of you who are training or expecting, like, don't be afraid. But the first 3 years of my ordained life, I end up with tonsillitis like every year. Like I was poorly. Easter and Christmas every year. Because I was just it was just really hard time, high pressure, not a lot of sleep, on the go, not a lot of recoup time. It's all new. And I ended up getting, not always being very well. So my mum and sister used to come over to me. But I remember like the first year, I missed it. I just slept the whole day, completely missed Christmas, came down at 6 p.m. like, oh, hello everybody, sorry, are you okay? And they were just like, hello. But now it's good, So they basically, wherever I am, they come to me, which is very, very sweet. So I kind of host Christmas and I sort of get in my pyjamas, I slump into the corner and just let the magic unfold around me.
Yeah, because for those of you who are not in ministry at the moment, maybe you want to be, maybe you never want to be, you get vicars get so exhausted after Christmas. Whether you get ill or not. Growing up, my dad was a vicar, and our Christmas Day was centred around the fact that Dad needed to have a nap in the afternoon, and we had to be quiet and play with our toys quietly while Dad was napping. But yeah, it's full on, and that makes it's so weird when people ask you, like Hugo asks Geraldine, what are your plans for Christmas? I've already been asked this year, are you going to go away to visit family? I'm like,
I'm a bit busy.
bit busy. Got kind of key points of a job to do, you know.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And please don't hear us wrong. Well, speak on my behalf. I absolutely adore it, and all the manicness of Christmas, and it's bonkers, and doing midnight mass and doing a morning service and all that kind of thing. I love it. I thrive off it. But by the time you get home, you're just like deflated little balloon. And I'm quite fortunate in many ways. In lots of ways, that both mine and Toby's dads are vicars, and so they get it, and so we never see family at Christmas. On the day itself, we'll go and visit them a couple of days afterwards. But on the day itself, it's just me, Toby, the son, and the dog. And before the dog and the son appeared, it was just the two of us on Christmas Day, which actually was really nice. The first year I was a curate, I wasn't married, but it just so happened that my mum and dad and brother were able to come over that Christmas because Dad was doing a slightly different job. But I just fully expect not to see any extended family on Christmas Day. And actually, I really like it. I love my family, don't get me wrong. But actually, just to have that small little huddle and just be in your PJs and eat nice food and do that kind of thing and just rest afterwards is really great. So Geraldine's plans do sound fantastic. But Jim and Frank have come up with a different idea. So we have the revelation that Jim has children and grandchildren. And therefore Jim's wife is always away at Christmas on a grandparenting conference.
Oh, she is this year. She might not be always, perhaps.
Yeah,
the
although we have a theory
insinuation.
about that.
Yeah, there's this insinuation because Jim and Frank speak as though they always have Christmas lunch together, which could be true. It could be that Frank always joins them. But they may say, we used to always eat with Letitia. We used to go around Letitia's. And now we're inviting you so that we can have...
Totty.
Some female presents. So I don't know whether that means that Jim's wife always goes away at Christmas.
Yeah. So Jim and Frank get so excited and say to Geraldine, we'd love you to come along and have Christmas dinner. And Geraldine either can't think of an excuse quick enough or goes, do you know what, that'd be nice. And so says, yes, lads, I'd love to come along to your Christmas lunch.
Well, yeah, because when you are alone on Christmas, as I have been a few years, you want to still do Christmas lunch. You want to still not have, even if you want to go back and just collapse, you don't want to be that much of a loser. So yeah, no, I've been invited to people's houses before. I've invited myself, or dropped heavy hints about being alone on Christmas Day and how lovely it would be to join some people for Christmas lunch. But also some communities do put on big Christmas lunches for people who are alone on Christmas Day. And if you are a single vicar, actually, I really encourage you, if you can, to try and drop in and take part, because you are with the loneliest people on Christmas Day, and I found it really rewarding when I did it.
My in-laws have started going, they do a homeless lunch on Christmas Day, and they go and do that sometimes as well, which is just a fab thing to do.
That's really cool. I think especially if you've got, I'm just thinking if I were to do something like not to see, I'd be so sad not to be with my family on Christmas Day. I think they've just grown up with this kind of like, that's the day for family. So you just do it, whatever.
Yeah.
You whatever comes, you get there, you drive there, you walk there, you jog there, whatever you do, you get to be with them. But actually, that's not necessarily the case, especially if you have plans, later down the line to get together. Like, it's a season for a reason, not just all about the day itself.
So these Christmas lunch plans have been planned, and we are excited to hear the arrival of some carol singers outside. Well, I was excited about it. The rest of the crew there at Horton Manor were not so thrilled about the fact that there were carol singers outside. And there's a vote that takes place as to whether we're going to let them in, and they do. And it's Alice and her school bunch have come along to do some carolling, and we get a long glory.
Which is just one of the best jokes,
It's good,
it?
yeah.
And they do their singing.
Very cute.
I'm taking some kids carol singing.
Are you?
The church school, the headmistress and I cooked this idea up. We're going to take some of the kids, the choir, out singing to some of the houses near the school.
Oh, that's lovely.
I'm so excited.
Such a
I
lovely
bloody
idea.
love carol singing, and I love a carol singer. And it is one of those things I always tell people every year I want us to do carol singing, to the point where I've even suggested we do summer carol singing if people hate being out in the cold that much.
Oh, wow.
I just love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's good fun.
It was one of the things that at the church I was at while lockdown was happening was a really good thing, that we kind of did a rent-a-choir in the different areas, and people would kind of pick their street or nominate their street and print out orders of service, and they'd turn up and do a little carol service in the middle of the street, which was just people stood on their doorstep singing, which was really, really lovely thing to do.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And the children asked some questions about the nativity story, which there are some interesting answers to. Perhaps their biblical literacy needs a little bit of improvement, unless baby Jesus was born in Dunstable. And then they're about to sing another one, and Alice says something about it being very important to listen to children and their ideas, and I'm like, yes, Alice, great idea. And I'd forgotten this song, but Toby had not, and they learnt another song that they sing about while shepherds watch their flocks by night all seated on a bank, and it has alternative lyrics to it, which very quickly get interrupted.
I noticed for the first time this year, and I watched it, after that scene has moved on, when Hugo's saying goodbye to Alice, he goes, "Oh, it's nice to know that the shepherds had fun at Christmas." And I was like, whoa, I've never heard it like that before.
I have a confession.
Oh.
When I was a young choir girl, and we used to go carol singing, me and a couple of the others would sing alternative lyrics.
More like under your breath?
So, no. We'd just sing them. So we'd sing while shepherds washed their socks by night or seated round the tub. And we'd also sing We Three Kings of Orient are trying to light a rubber cigar. Didn't properly sing it just then because I feel awkward about singing on podcast. But yeah, just for fun.
I love
and
that.
It's fun. And yeah, we did get some angry looks from the adult members of the choir. It's fun.
I need to get in the spirit. I know I was a bit disappointed as well, though, when coming back to that scene, is that the kiss never happened. It was like, oh, there's the mistletoe. Is it going to be? Is it going to be? Is it going to be? No.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so sweet, though.
So as the choir are ushered out, Alice and Hugo have a moment under the mistletoe.
Indeed.
And there's the potential, and they get shy. And...
Have you ever had an awkward opportunity to kiss somebody as a vicar where mistletoe is present?
Oh,
because
I can remember.
Was an idiot. You know when I said I was...
No, Jenny!
Yes.
Oh, no.
I got a flashback. I don't know why I did this, trying to be Christmassy and cute. When I was a Kira, I hung up some mistletoe at my front door. I don't know. And I remember the reason why I took it down is because I opened the door, there was the mistletoe, and there was the postman handing me a parcel. And I was there like, hello, I received the parcel, I acknowledged the mistletoe, and we both had a little laugh. Off he went, and I took it straight down. Just round it.
Jenny, you don't even acknowledge mistletoe, you just pretend it's not there.
So be warned, dear listener. Be careful where you put your mistletoe. You never know where you'll meet a handsome stranger.
Well, you know, a benefit of being really short is you can genuinely get away with pretending that mistletoe isn't there because you didn't see it.
That's excellent.
What mistletoe? I can't see anything. What's that little blur up there? No, I can't see it.
Oh, great.
We then go over to back into the room, and David is inviting Geraldine over for Christmas lunch as well, because David says that he's been a bit of a fool and not very kind and all this kind of thing, and he invites Geraldine over as a sign that his ways have changed. And Geraldine tries to turn him down because she's already promised her lunch, and David says, "Oh, yep, you're right, leopard can't change his spots." And then she ends up saying yes to going to dinner with David and Hugo.
I'm sorry, are we going to completely ignore the huge revelation about David Horton's ex-wife? Who,
oh, yeah, I'd forgotten that.
In the past, we've speculated that maybe she passed away
or
something, but no, she left him because he wasn't a good man. And now he's decided he's trying to fix some of those things that she didn't like, including growing a beard and cooking.
Cooking.
Yeah.
Cooking, yes, I'd forgotten that was part of that scene, that that was his reason for it.
Yeah, that's why he says, "Oh, a leopard can. I guess a leopard never can change his spots." But he's guilt tripping Gerald.
I know, her love
Yeah.
and her compassion definitely gets the better of her in this episode, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah, and I do think the way David talks is very manipulative as well. There's a layer behind it, isn't it? And he talks about what he's going to cook and yeah.
Do you think that there could be some sort of... It's a competition for prestige of having the vicar over?
Oh, good thought.
Maybe not an active one, but there's something about... from David Horton's perspective, like, why is he being so manipulative in getting Geraldine there when we know he doesn't really like her that much at this point? He's warm to her, but he's not like, I must spend Christmas Day with you. I think it's because he's, the lord of the land or whatever, and it's this prestige of having this other local dignitary over.
Interesting.
Intriguing. No.
Yeah. But David promises something of a cultural phenomenon. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah.
Phenomenon.
Which is quite a British thing. So overseas listeners, you may not have heard of the legend that is Queen Delia Smith and her influence on Christmas dinners across the country. And how, especially in the 90s at this time, my mum had the cookbook for how to do Delia's Christmas, and yes, that's the pinnacle of Christmas cuisine, is doing a Delia Smith recipe.
It's going to be a tasty day for Geraldine.
Yeah.
I suppose for our American listeners, Delia Smith is as much a cultural phenomenon in the UK as Julia Child.
Yeah, good idea.
In the US, maybe?
Yeah.
Different types of cooking, but that kind of level of...
Yeah, it's Delia. Yeah. So Geraldine tries to get out of the Frank and Jim dinner in order to go to the David one, but they're already really excited about it and it's going to be the best time ever. And then she tries to go back to David and he's asking about what recipes she'd like, and she's stuck and decides that probably she's got these two different lunches to go to. And then David talks about the importance of the Christmas sermon and has she prepared it, because last year wasn't that great apparently, and that the Christmas sermon is the keynote speech of the party conference. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think Christmas morning is one of the most important sermons you do in a year. You've got probably lots of people who don't normally come to church. You've got a mixed crowd. You've got children as well as adults, and you've got people who bring their relatives. So you're trying to show to people, I think particularly in a village, and as David points out, you're showing them, really giving them a taste of what they could have if they came every Sunday. And what you're saying is you want to create something which people might just talk about over Christmas lunch.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good way of seeing it. Because I do agree. I think it's so much pressure, though, for it to be this massive deal. And like David says to Geraldine, if you preach a stinker, you'll lose them all to Satan until this time next year. And it's like, oh my gosh, the pressure. But I think having that goal is have one tiny thing that they could take away to talk about, or that might go, oh, right, there is actually some hope for the year to come, or maybe I could take control over this thing, or maybe there actually is a God that loves me and wants to know me, or like whatever their little the takeaway, the key might be. One thing that's I like that, because sometimes I think midnight mass is the keynote speech.
I was going to say
It's
that,
tough, isn't it?
It depends what kind of church you're in and what context, but often I find that midnight masses have more people at them, and Christmas Day people go, I'm not coming Christmas Day, because that's the time that we spend with family, and I'm a bit like, well, you need the Lord in there as well. So actually, I would say your midnight mass, your late evening on Christmas Eve, and your Christmas Day sermon are maybe it's like a two-parter keynote speech.
Or I think it depends. I think we'll talk about this in our next episode. We'll talk about Christmas services and what we're doing. But like, I do have different congregations at the crib service, at midnight mass, at Christmas morning. And in fact, we have 2 Christmas morning services, one which someone else is taking, praise the Lord. And you got different readings at all of them. So, to be honest, I see all of them as really important.
Yeah. And so after this, Geraldine's now in a bit of a panic. And so we go back over to the vicarage, and she's trying to write her sermon, but is being interrupted by the glorious Alice, who has brought her a Christmas present to open, which is very, very sweet. And it's a book that's the biography of the Spice Girls, which is a great present, quite frankly.
It is. Yeah.
Better than the book on Des Lynam's mum.
Exactly.
Do you get Christmas presents from parishioners? And also, do you return giving to parishioners?
It depends on context, I think, and how affluent your parish is, as to whether you get them or not. And sometimes, actually, some of the least affluent parishes are the most generous when it comes to Christmas and want to give something to the vicar. I don't return anything because I think there's when do you stop? Do you show? It could look like you were showing favouritism, and just giving things to certain people, and the Christmas card thing can be difficult too as well. Like trying to write one to everyone. So,
Yeah, what I ended up doing last year was I only wrote personal cards for my PCC members.
Oh, okay.
And I cooked some gingerbread, which I brought to the big services and kind of said, "This is my Christmas present."
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
And then, like, church wardens got their own little bag.
That's really sweet. I kind of do something a little bit like that. So pandemics change things, but I do like a Christmas party for PCC, which includes like all lay leaders as well. So we have mulled wine and mince pies in the vicarage. Although, like I say, I haven't done that for the last 2 years because of the pandemic. And then for church wardens, we'll get them like a really tiny thing and a card. I think I did do personalised cards in my first year here, but haven't done for the second 2. Maybe I will do, though, actually. It's a nice thing to do. But yeah, it's finding that balance. I don't tend to receive a lot of gifts. And if I do, they're either funny ones, like in-jokes, which tend to be based around the theme of a chocolate orange. There's a couple of families in my church who I mentioned that I love chocolate orange in the first Christmas I was here. And actually there was also a guy in the congregation called Terry. And I made a bit of a chocolate orange joke in a Christmas sermon, and he shouted from the back, "It's not yours, it's mine!" And it was hilarious because his name was Terry. And ever since then, there's been a couple of families who always make sure they get like a chocolate orange or chocolate orange theme,
that's
which is
really lovely.
sweet, yeah. But otherwise, no. And I wouldn't expect it because, like, I don't know, I would never have bought my vicar a Christmas present growing up, and I adored him. So, yeah, tough though.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
So Geraldine is desperately trying to write her Christmas sermon, and it must be Christmas Eve by this point in the episode, and so she's doing her last minute, desperately trying to write something, and she decides she's going to talk about John 1, which is one of the classic Christmas readings. So the book of John in the Bible, which is one of the Gospels, which tells the story of Jesus, and the beginning of it is really complicated and says lots of words that are difficult to say. It's one of those passages where you need to have a good reader to read it at your Christmas service and your carol service, but is filled with such beautiful imagery and is just wonderful to delve into. But Alice is immediately bored and starts reading a magazine. So Geraldine gives up on John chapter 1, which is a shame.
Yeah.
It is a shame.
It is, that is the difficult thing.
I have to say, if you've picked the reading, especially the day before the service, it's a bit too late to change it. Like, especially if you've got a reader lined up. That feels a bit
I
on a
hate
Christmas
that.
day.
If I've put down the reading, so even for like a midweek communion, and I get to it on Tuesday night and I see it's an absolute stinker of a passage, all of me wants to email the person going, "Hi there, we've just changed the reading to Psalm 24 or something like that." But no, my bishop,
nice
we had a
psalm.
great vicars conference in our diocese, and the bishop was like, "You've got to preach on the hard passages, like you've got to do it, it's really important, do it. So I was reminded of that. But yeah, it can be tempting to change it, but the thing is here, so I feel bad. Here's a bit of a confession, I suppose. Geraldine tries to preach this idea to Alice. She gets bored. Later on, sorry, I don't want to skip ahead, but like she preaches another one to somebody else and they get bored. I would just go with the boring one. Like, I don't care. When it gets to Christmas Eve and you haven't got your Christmas sermon, whatever's in front of you, you just have to go with and just trust that God will speak through it. Can I get an amen, or do you disagree?
Amen. 'Cause
Okay.
well, maybe not. I don't know. You can. The thing is, you've got to start at least thinking about your Christmas sermons early, especially if you've got multiple services.
Cogitate.
Some people, I know some people go on retreat in November and they write, well, this is my dad, my dad would go on retreat in November and he would write all his Christmas sermons.
Oh, really?
I love that. I'd love to be
During that
that
retreat.
person, yeah. I'm growing towards that.
There's also something about spontaneity, this is more how I am, which is responding to the things that are happening in the community, the things that you're seeing.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be, for these big services, you don't want to be too spontaneous.
Yes. Yeah, true.
So she starts working on a different idea, doesn't she? Yeah. And at the door appears Owen, and she kisses him. So all this thing that happens later on in series 2.
Yeah.
She says at the door, "Owen, you're not here to invite me to a Christmas lunch, are you?" And he says no. And so she kisses him.
Does she kiss him on the lips?
On the lips.
Does she?
She does.
Does she?
So his
She
line,
does she?
She does she?
Yeah, she does.
Teaser for later. So his line later on in the series, is it series 2, where he says he's never been kissed, is an absolute lie. Because it happens right now. And Geraldine attempts her second sermon on him, and he also would rather go and scrape
Poo off the shed.
Off the walls.
To be fair, yeah.
Hear it.
But that Geraldine was stonker, in my opinion. She'd said, instead of going from the Bible, I take my text, and it was a poem. And I was like, babe, no, it's Christmas. You've got to preach the word, man. You've got to preach the word.
Or, I mean, you can include a poem, but maybe not.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I mean, it's a beautiful poem she chooses.
But it can't be a key text, right?
But it can't be a key text.
No.
So at this point, Geraldine has 3 Christmas lunch invitations. She's narrowly avoided a 4th. Alice has sort of just assumed that Geraldine is joining them for Christmas lunch. But she can't think about that because she has to write a sermon and she has writer's block. What on earth do you do when you've got writer's block for a sermon?
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I tend to hit Google up if I'm having complete writer's block. If I've got a passage and just go, no idea what to do with this, having a look at what other people might have said about it, or looking for images that relate to the passage sometimes will kick things off. We also have things called commentaries, which are ways that people who are much cleverer than I am, who actually can do Greek and Hebrew, which the texts were originally written in, delve into it and what the words mean and what was going on at the context of the time to help understand the passage a bit better, which can help to undo that block.
Yeah,
sometimes
definitely.
I find a glass of wine helps.
Glass of wine.
If I'm really stuck.
That's also a great idea.
Find a way to relax. Sometimes I've gone and taken a bath and then come back to it.
Interesting.
Sometimes I've just left it till the next morning, decided that a sleep will help, see if something comes to me in a dream. What I did last Christmas was I went on some walks and I got voice notes out on my phone. And as soon as an idea came into my head.
I love that.
As soon as the idea came into my mind, got my phone out, turned on voice notes, and gave like a really quick kind of summary of the sermon.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a good idea.
I think all of these things remind us of really what the key is happening here, because Geraldine, her go-to in the end, after running all around different avenues, is she literally says, "Oi, you birthday boy, like you better give me something to write."
Yeah.
And actually, opening yourself up to allow God to speak to you is the key. And whether that's online, in a walk, through external processing, through relaxing, through having a bath, through the Holy Spirit of one. Lol, it's not spirit, but you know what I mean. Do you know, maybe not the last one, but like actually just being like, okay, God, like what is it you want to say to your people? And being open to that probably is just the good thing.
Getting out of your own head and stopping. For me, sometimes I just need to stop trying to be clever. Because sometimes I just want to be really clever with a text. But I just need to say, no,
Keeping it simple, yeah.
And at my previous church, they sometimes finished readings with, how is this God's word of life today? So now that's how I start when I'm writing a sermon.
That's really cool.
Myself, how is this God's word of life today?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, that prayer that Geraldine says about birthday boy, just help me with this. Yeah. I think it's one of the most sincere prayers, and one that I pray fairly regularly.
Yeah, definitely. Please help me. Yeah, just please help me. Best prayer ever.
Wonderful. So we turn up to Christmas morning, and we don't actually get to see the service, which is really annoying. But we see them in the vestry afterwards, and goodness me, is Geraldine wearing a special waistcoat?
Yes, she is. Love it.
And in honour of the fabulous occasion, she has a waistcoat that has Happy Birthday Jesus on it. And Jenny has just stood up on the camera in which we are filming, and she's wearing a glorious jumper that says Happy Birthday Jesus on it.
Couldn't resist.
So we've all
couldn't resist.
put on our festive attire. Kate, you're looking rather sparkly there as well. What are you wearing?
I have a very glittery cap that's dressed like a reindeer.
That's very cute. With a little red nose.
Yeah.
And I'm not wearing, but I have, to previous Christmas services, I have a Christmas ladies suit.
I'm sorry, what?
A skirt and a jacket. A Christmas skirt and jacket.
What do you mean? What, in the style of Mrs. Claus?
So I was thinking, like, a Christmas lady's suit.
Right, okay, so you know Saturday Night Live, David Pumpkins, a dude in the suit which has pumpkins all over it. No, you don't know. Basically, it's from the same company who made that suit. It's
pumpkins.
Fairly cheaply made. It's just like Christmas fabric in like a print. But a jacket and a skirt.
That you can put a little clergy shirt with?
Yeah.
Wow. What have you got, Rube?
My jumper that I am wearing has the nativity scene
that's lovely.
Upon it.
So
it's
good.
one of my favourite ones. And actually, clergy clothing got pretty big last year, wasn't it?
It did.
M&S did very well out of a lot of clergy, because there was a jumper that they had that had Believe on it.
Yes.
And loads of lady vicars and some gentleman vicars as well went and bought this jumper to wear for their services.
Yes.
Do you guys have the Believe jumper?
Yes.
No. Yes, I do.
I don't, but I wish I did.
So a couple of our friends who we know kind of did a load of stuff kicking it off to that people were wearing these jumpers. So one friend was in the press about it, and then another friend collected loads of images of women and men clergy who were wearing these jumpers to have this massive picture. I'll see if I can find it for social media.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Forgotten about that.
All these different people in their Believe jumpers.
Hashtag Believe, baby.
There we go.
I'm just really sneakily now looking on Marks and Spencer Christmas jumpers.
See what they've got in store. What can we guys, we should make our own stash. We should do like Christmas Vicars Unite or something. I don't know. Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we don't actually hear what sermon Geraldine has come up with, but we get little hints as to what the sermon might have been about, and that it may have involved the Spice Girls. And Kate, you are brandishing paper at me.
I took some notes. I tried to work out what the sermon was. So we get 3 hints from 3 different people. Firstly, Spice Girls and the Nativity, virgins thrust into the public eye, and that they went from the superficiality of popular music to, then I forget the rest of the quote, but something about something deep and profound.
Yeah,
I like the way that you moved from the superficial and facile messages of popular music to the subtle and complex revelations of the Nativity.
Who was that? Was that Jim that said
Jim
that?
said that,
yeah, which is just awesome as well.
Now,
really good.
I need to say that as we were receiving these clues, part of me was thinking, is Geraldine dreaming? Like, is this a kind of preaching anxiety dream where she's not actually getting the sermon she preached, she's just getting these weird, complex, cryptic clues about what she should say?
Happening.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was real, though, because it's just so rewarding that actually, after all that adversity, she conquered. And actually, that says... I guess subtly that says that her prayers are answered as well, doesn't it? And that she was able to preach something that was relevant and true, which is
because she tells
glorious.
Jesus what she wants, what she really, really wants.
And what she did was she was obviously inspired by the gift that Alice had given her.
Aww.
Which is sometimes the best sermons come from moments of inspiration like that. In fact, so I want to share a very quick summary of my Christmas sermon last year, which I still occasionally get people mentioning to me. On one of my walks, there is a cat that likes to hang out on one of the paths I walk down, an orange cat, and it's really friendly to everyone. And I compared this cat to being like Jesus on Christmas Day, Jesus greets us all warmly and follows us home. And more. There was more to it, but anyway, that was my hook for Christmas Day last year.
That's cool. That's cool when you've got something that everybody knows what you're talking about that's local.
What about you, Jenny? What do you like? Give us a taster of some of your sermons.
My Christmas sermons? Oh, goodness me. As I said, I just go with what's easy. So I'm sorry, everybody. I can't even remember what I preached on last year.
Yeah. So, Jenny, what kind of thing do you do for a Christmas sermon, or what's a good Christmas sermon that you've heard?
Well, it's a good point. So, as I kind of hinted at earlier, I think my Christmas sermon, I just go with the boring thing. I just go with the John 1, get straight into it. But when I was an intern, so when I was sort of exploring was ordained ministry for me, or ministry of any kind, I worked with a vicar who used to ask the congregation to wrap up presents for him, put them on the altar, and his Christmas Day preach would be him unwrapping the gifts one by one and using them to tell the Christmas story. So he never knew what he was going to preach until the moment, which is a thought that absolutely terrifies me, but I think is so clever and so cool. So I offer that as like a little, this is something you could try if you're creative. I would suck at that, but...
Oh, so the actual presents, he didn't know what they were. It wasn't like he'd my father-in-law does the same thing. No. Yeah, whatever kids are brought in for presents, he makes a sermon up about that.
Yeah, that's exactly, and somehow he manages to unwrap all of the presents and tell the true story of, the first Christmas with them, which I just think is amazing, really. And people wrap up really annoying random things like a whisk or a toilet roll. Like it's not good stuff. It's stuff that you're like,
that's really good.
This, but yeah.
I did a midnight mass once and knew that I knew that a few people had been at the pub previously and would need to concentrate and try and help. So I dropped in as many quotes from Christmas films as possible as part of the text of the sermon. I think I included, I got Die Hard in there and Elf and all this different kind of things. So you could see people in the congregation tittering at points when they went, oh. And I think I finished with the classic line from the Muppets Christmas Carol of God bless us, everyone. So there we go.
That's brilliant. Oh my gosh, I seriously need to up my game. Although you can see, for those, Ruthie and Caitlin, there's a book just lying in the background of my screen here, which is a bumper book of resources for Advent, Christmas and Epiphany. So hopefully I get up my game. But are we not heading to lunch now?
Yes.
So can I pop a cracker? Can I pop a cracker? Okay, you ready, everybody? Here it goes.
Very nice.
Right, what have we got? I'm going to put my hat on. I'm sorry that I can't share it with you. I feel like you should always have a friend for a cracker. But...
I would like to tell a quick anecdote about Christmas cracker hats. And because there is a rivalry in my family about who can keep the hat on the longest, which was started by my sister-in-law, Eilish, I believe. And it's a thing that they do in their family, that as soon as it's on for Christmas dinner, it's on. And if it's off, you're out the game and you lose. And so
Yeah, fair.
one year, me and Eilish are sending each other pictures in the evening of us lying in bed in our Christmas cracker hats, refusing to be the first person to take it off.
That is healthy competition.
Give us a joke then,
so
Jenny.
good.
What's in the cracker?
Okay, something just popped out, which brings me joy. Question: what do you get if you cross a snowman and a
I
shark?
don't know.
Don't know.
Frostbite.
Yeah, okay. So let us delve into the lunches that that Geraldine goes to, and we start with Frank and Jim.
To set the tone, here's another Christmas joke.
Ooh.
Why did the Christmas turkey cross the road?
To get to the other side.
To prove he wasn't a chicken!
Oh.
We've got some of these kind of for the end of every meal, but that was just to set us off.
Set us up.
Yes.
Oh.
And maybe it's because it's the first one, but this looks like the best meal. It's raucous, they're laughing, and the effort that Jim and Frank have gone to cook a delicious meal, not just for themselves, but for Geraldine as well. 16 types of vegetables on the plate.
Love that.
Is just lovely, and they're just having a great time, and this is the meal I would like to go to.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And we said as well, like that scene where Jim tries to tell a joke and he can't get to the end of the joke because he's laughing so much. That is like an iconic scene, I'm sure
I've
of
been
it.
there.
So good, so good.
I'm just surprised it doesn't take longer. Like for me, Christmas lunch in my head, it takes hours.
It does.
And the fact that isn't she trying to do this in 30 minutes?
Well, yeah, she seems to be trying to space them about an hour apart, isn't she?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Which I feel she should have organised that better beforehand and told people she'd be at these meals at different times. So she's had one, and she was giving herself a prep talk on the way there, wasn't she? That she would just have small portions and only a little bit of pudding. And that doesn't happen. So she's eaten this massive meal and a massive Christmas pudding.
I've got my joke for the end, which I feel is a very Jim... Like Jim wouldn't be able to tell this joke.
Okay.
Why does Father Christmas like to work in the garden?
Something because of snowballs or
Because
something.
he likes to ho, ho, ho. And you can just imagine him. He likes to
very
ho,
good.
ho, 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 ho,
Yeah.
ho, 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 ho. Sorry.
And we head to Horton Manor.
Geraldine's running to Horton
She
Manor.
is.
She's running at this
Well,
stage, but then she's like,
Yeah,
nah.
no, it's not happening. She's
not-
already full of Christmas
not
dinner,
that
and
way.
she's off to Horton Manor, and she sits down and is served a pasta dish, and she's like, "Oh God, how exciting! This is lovely, different and traditional." And it's made very clear that this is the first course. It's already a massive, massive meal.
And I think what we're
Family
seeing here
size
is
portion.
a huge contrast in you had that really informal Frank and Jim, and now super formal, not just multiple courses, a pasta course, a fish course, a turkey course, and a pudding, but they're using cloches.
What's a cloche?
A cloche is that silver dome that was over the food. Which
Oh, yeah.
I think you
That's
mean
a
the dinner plate hat.
And to be fair, can I just like to add in here, David's massively going out of his comfort zone doing this, and actually he's pulled it off. Like he's trying to make some positive changes, and I think he's pulled it off.
Is he?
Feelings, lady.
Is he though?
Yes.
I wonder.
Yes, I would say he
Is he? I think he's showing off.
No. Well, a middle.
I'm wondering if he cooked too much pasta by accident because he didn't know how much. It's so easy to do. You don't know how much pasta to cook.
But and we hear about
I think
a
it's
game that's played every year at Horton Manor that David wins every year, that he bets he can eat the most sprouts over the guests, and Hugo always loses, and it's a real bummer. Do we have a sprout related joke?
We have a sprout related joke. What do you call Santa after he's eaten too many Brussels sprouts?
I do not know.
Father Christmas.
Fair enough.
That's
I have
good.
a story about that.
So
I was going to tell it. It's pretty good. I got permission. The first Christmas after my son was born, he was less than 2 weeks old when it came to Christmas Day. And so we tried to do a Christmas meal. We were exhausted. We managed it. But my mother-in-law very kindly made us kind of our main Christmas thing, because both of us are vegetarians, so we don't eat turkey or anything like that. So she made us a Brussels sprout pie, which was absolutely delicious. And we'd had sprouts as well as part of it. And goodness me, was that a smelly household for the rest of the day.
Oh,
but
no.
we were very appreciative of the pie.
Bittersweet.
Yes. So Geraldine, with her competitive hat on, goes, I'm not having the way that you're bullying poor Hugo. We go into a gladiator-style event where Hugo is pretending to be the referee on Gladiator, that classic cultural phenomenon as well. And we're having a sprout off.
It's quite exciting to watch, actually. And it's all worth the effort, because in the end, Geraldine wins. And finally, David...
But at what cost?
Hugo. Yeah. Hugo is the winner, but as Caitlin said, at what cost?
Yes. And
it's
very full
followed
tummy
by
cost, I would say.
a huge Christmas pudding.
But we can't pause here, guys. We cannot pause here, because there's another lunch to attend, baby.
I was going to very quickly pause and just say, one word answer. Sprouts, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay. If I make them.
Oh, that's a story for another occasion. Let us move on to the next lunch, where we turn up to the Tinker family. And oh my gosh, Alice is the Christmas fairy, and this is beautiful.
It's really sweet. She looks like everybody when they're 4 years old.
And I think dress codes for Christmas dinners are fantastic. But I've got to admit, my dress code is pyjamas for Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Should agree.
Unless you are Alice's sister, Mel Gibbons, and you've confused it and think it's Easter, and so you wear your bunny jumper.
Bless her.
But I think it was Kate Botley, when we chatted to her, said that Mel was one of her favourite side characters, and absolutely, this is a classic scene with Mel and her Easter Easter adventure. And this is one of those very odd meals, isn't it, where you think it would be nice and relaxed because it's Alice and Geraldine and they're best friends, but actually you've just got some very odd characters around the table that you need to be polite to, and I think we can empathise with that.
Yeah. And also, like, at this stage, not just the food, but like the energy to like laugh, walk, talk, think even, would be crippling. In real life, this would be undoable. Like, you just wouldn't be able to. You'd have fallen asleep 100 years ago.
You know, I really appreciated Geraldine's attempt at trying to tell the truth.
Oh, yeah.
And she tells this lovely little story about a vicar who had too many lunches. But Alice does not play along.
No.
Oh.
And it's... I get it as well, you know, actually, if you've gone to all that effort. And I think it is the way they're showing love to their vicar is by providing all these lunches. And but yes, Geraldine has to eat another Christmas dinner. And and leaves with a gift from Sister Mary of an Easter egg. Which, how did she get an Easter egg at that time of year? Kate,
do you want another joke?
Let's have a joke.
Okay, so this is inspired by Alice's outfit. What do elves use to make their Christmas cake?
Angel delight.
Elf raising flower.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get me some of these jokes.
So for anyone listening, this was, we did alternative homemade Christmas crackers one year, and these were the jokes that was in them. It's a little box, and then I was given a box to take home.
Oh, that's nice.
Brilliant.
So she's managed 3. She's got through all her Christmas dinners. She goes to the vicarage in a taxi, which takes her about 20 seconds to get back home, flops through the door, and Owen appears saying, I've realised your delight at me not asking you to Christmas dinner was actually a subtle female ploy to get invited to Christmas dinner. So I've made you a meal and I can't wait for you to come and share it with me. And So we're on Christmas lunch number 4.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, because there is a thing. I was once on. I think I mentioned this before.
Oh, yes.
BBC Radio Northampton, where on Mastermind, and there as a joke sort of thing. And my subject of choice was Vicar of Dibley, and there was a question which is how many lunches are there in the Christmas lunch incident, and I said 4. They marked me and said it was 3, but luckily they had a few days to deliberate, and then they decided that actually it was 4 after all. So I was redeemed. But yeah, just remember that, guys, for trivia. They might say 3, but the truth really is 4.
Yes, because she goes over to Owen's farmhouse, which we've never seen before, and it's a lot nicer than I expected it to be. Maybe that's very snobby of me.
Someone getting a little crush on Owen.
Absolutely, yes. But the house is lovely.
Yeah, I think the farmhouse was exactly what I would expect it to be. It's a farmhouse.
I expected the house to be gross, and it's not, because Owen is gross, but the house is very lovely. And he's prepared a delicious Christmas dinner for just Geraldine, because he's got a bit of stomach problems. So
the worst.
She is there to sit and eat this Christmas dinner, which involves tripe.
Is it just me, or did this feel a little bit voyeuristic? Like some sort of mukbang, like it's sexual for Owen. Like,
oh my
I'm gonna watch
gosh!
you eat, because that's someone's.
That
kink,
is a kink,
isn't it?
yeah, absolutely.
I'd never thought of it like that before, but now I'm not going to be able to get it.
It's just the way he says it in a slightly creepy way.
Do you know what?
I'm going to watch you eat it.
I was just about to say, no way, because Owen is so pure. And then I was like, I can't say that. That's such a lie. He's not pure at all.
So Jerry endures it. She gets through the Christmas dinner, including the tripe, which just looks horrific. And do we have a joke to close off this final Christmas dinner?
We have a joke to close off this final Christmas dinner. What do sheep sing at Christmas?
Bar.
It was on a barry night.
Something bar.
Actually, this kind of requires you to know the spelling, but they sing Yule Tide carols.
Oh, you.
E-W-E.
Yule. Sometimes Christmas cracker
nice.
jokes are like this. They only work written down.
Yeah. So she's done
That's a
it.
good one,
She's back at the vicarage. She's
well done,
on her
Geraldine, I'd like
knees.
to say.
Girl.
Yeah.
Good girl. You good and faithful servant.
That's a full day of ministry. Yeah, full day of
Absolutely.
ministry.
She's exhausted. She needs time to rest. But lo and behold, who appears at the door with a shiny halo behind them? It's Tristan. Sexy songs of praise, Tristan.
Yeah.
Now, this is a shame because this video highlights that actually Geraldine doesn't have next of kin or super close family that either come to her or she goes to them, potentially. And instead, she spends it with her parishioners. And everybody is hungering, perhaps longing for, if only Geraldine had a special someone to either laugh about all this with or to spend Christmas Day with. And then he appears as the knight in shining armour. So all of the viewers get what they want. Because at Christmas time, that is the time of romantic movies and all those,
Love a
lovely,
Hallmark
warm,
Christmas
cuddly
movie.
scenes. Exactly. He appears at the door. It's just what we wanted. And then not only is it, we can't believe our eyes that he's there on Christmas Day, he then proceeds to propose. It's like all of the boxes are ticking. You're giving me everything that I want for Jerry and more.
And how can Tristan not be aware of what he's saying? He's asking her
because
to
he's
marry
probably
him.
so in love. He's so in love with his young
Yeah,
wife.
but you wouldn't.
He asked her to marry him.
If someone calls me to arrange a wedding, they don't say, "Will you marry me?" They say, "We'd like to get married."
Yeah.
Well, it's the joy of the BBC having it up, of course, for our entertainment.
It feels deliberate on his part. Like, because also, why would you turn up on
Christmas Day
evening?
It's
book in a
terrible.
wedding?
It's terrible.
And for Geraldine, like, to her benefit, she doesn't say yes right away until he really lays it on about how much, like,
Can't
he
stop
could
thinking
only,
about her.
He could only she could marry him, or like
and it's a compliment really, because he sees so much goodness of God in her. And also Aoife does as well. She's like, I can't imagine anyone else when she comes in finally.
Yes.
So what happens? Well, she thinks it's Tristan. He absolutely loves me, utterly obsessed with me, puts on a cute little Christmas bop as he comes back in after asking her to marry him. And of course, he's asking her to marry him and his fiancée, Aoife. So we've been given everything we want, and then it's been dashed against the rocks.
We do get a callback to this later.
Oh,
the
so
next
good.
time she's proposed to.
I can't wait.
Well,
it's not the next time. There's a few more times for that.
Yeah, but for real, but the time that we love.
The time.
She says yes, and it's a heartbreaking callback, but a beautiful one.
Oh,
yeah,
can't wait to talk
nothing
about
is ever wasted.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing with life, isn't it? Nothing's ever wasted, and actually, God always knows what God's doing, even with fictional people on the BBC.
So.
But a sidebar, have you ever had people turning up to a vicarage on Christmas Day for business?
No, only to give me nice things.
Only for pleasure.
Christmas Day. I've had people turn up. Like I've at Christmas afternoon. I'm in my pajamas. 'Cause last year, had lunch with my parents and came back home, settled in for the evening. Someone knocks on the door and wants to talk to the vicar. And to be fair, actually, they were giving a donation for the church, so it's good business. But at the same time, it's like...
Save it.
It's Christmas evening.
They must have not been able to get it out of their mind. They're like, it's a lovely thing to do, very
Absolutely
generous.
lovely.
Maybe they've been swept up with the
Them in,
spirit.
I've got to admit.
No, absolutely not.
I can understand that.
Maybe they had a few at that point and
maybe
decided now was the time. But in this episode, we have a different bunch of people turning up at the evening of Christmas. And actually, it's a really nice thing. And Geraldine, after the shambles of Tristan and his beautiful Irish heifer, has ruined the day.
Her real name is Aoife.
Aoife.
Aoife. Aoife.
Yeah, Aoife.
I love it when Jodie's like, didn't leave any vowels. Greedy
yeah, she's down in the dumps. She's lying on the sofa. She's clearly upset. And the door goes again. And as the viewer, you go, oh no, who's it going to be this time? But it's Alice who turns up at the door and says, I thought you might want some company. And you see the relief in Geraldine's face thinking, yes, actually, I can deal with having an Alice at the moment. But it's not only Alice who turns up. Actually, the whole gang, the whole madhouse appear to just say how much they love her and that she's just such a wonderful person and how the village has turned for good since having her in their lives. And that's just nice.
Yeah. It's so lovely. It sounds like an extrovert's dream. As an introvert, I love the idea of it, but by that point, if I had been to 4 Christmas lunches with these people, I've got to admit, I wouldn't answer the door.
Day's end.
But there's just something lovely about her receiving compliments at that moment when she's down in the dumps and if you go to church or if you don't necessarily go to church but you've enjoyed listening to this and perhaps you go to a funeral or a baptism or something like that, and if you're able to say a nice thing to the vicar, it will be so appreciated because we don't get a lot of it sometimes, and sometimes we just get complaints. So if you can say, that was a really interesting sermon or something like that, please do. Please do.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. It's a very beautiful moment to tie things off. And to set us up for the next season where Geraldine will start feeling much more confident in where she is.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
It's very good. Wonderful. And at last, we have the final joke in the episode, which is the interrupting cow joke, which is a classic, and I enjoy telling it. Have you ever done the interrupting worm joke?
No.
No. How does that go?
Well, it's going to be difficult to do this over camera and video like
Do
this.
you have to stick your finger in?
You can either do a little finger worm in their face, or I have perhaps jumped on my spouse and wiggled like a worm, interrupting Their joke.
Oh,
That's
isn't this
actually
joke the
excellent.
interrupting
I love that.
sheep joke?
Oh,
The
I
one
thought
that
it was the
Jodie tells?
cow. Oh, I've got confused.
Tell
It's
us.
sheep.
Maybe watch different versions.
No, I think No, it was definitely. No, you're right. It is a sheep. I think maybe I was harking back to when we did the quiz and we had the sheep and the cow.
Maybe.
I've got confused. It doesn't take much.
It's lovely though.
Well,
Wow.
anyway, we've really enjoyed celebrating this Christmas episode, and we're going to do another one in our next episode.
There is more to come.
We really hope that whatever you are doing this Advent, whether you're going to carol services, whether you have Advent calendars or candles, or whether you're making Christmas cards or baking, we really hope that you will find some joy this Christmas with other people, but also that you might just encounter the love of God in all of this.
Amen, amen. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Vicars Watch Dibley. Thank you to Toby for editing our ramblings.
Any views expressed on this podcast are our own and don't necessarily represent those of the Church of England or any other organisation. This is my favourite Christmas joke.
And
there
as
was
always,
a Viking village,
bless you
and
for
in
listening.
that village there were 3 different men named Rudolph. There was Rudolph who had a black beard, Rudolph who had a blonde beard, and Rudolph who had a red beard, and they were all known by the colour of their hair. So, the red-haired Rudolph was in his house with his wife, and he was looking out the window, and he says, "You know what? I think it's going to rain." And she asks him, "Well, how do you know it's going to rain and not snow?" And he taps his nose and says, "Well, my dear, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer."
Such build-up.
That is good. I've got to be honest, when you said that a historical joke is based in the village, there were 3, I was like, oh no, I'm going to fall asleep. And then I was like, I'm hooked. That's a long build-up, but it's very good.
Yeah. Have I redeemed myself?
Yeah, for sure. You're always good.